I meant to say reverend.
No.
No?
It's funny, because about the only place anymore that people put that reverend is when I come here, and it's about I think the sixth time I've been here. Um, as the dictionary defines it, yes, I'm a reverend, because I have been in the ministry since April 15th, 1966. So that was when I accepted the call. I'm going to open with a psalm that I just wrote this morning. Psalm 679:25. We celebrate your beauty and do not disrespect that found in our neighbors, even when they struggle just to survive or are in some way considered disabled. You have given each of us multiple talents that can improve the fractured world. May we honor your inclusiveness and be flexible as we travel this earth. So I've teased you before, and I'm going to tease you again. You all will ask for a title for what I'm going to say earlier than almost anybody on the planet. And it's funny because when I got asked this time, I was told, well, we're late. Like, it's 6 weeks before I'm supposed to talk. Okay. And the title that came to me that day was Making Use of My Personal Toolkit. I'm going to give a disclaimer before I really begin. So on the way here, I stopped to get a New York Times. And the gentleman at the CBS said, "Oh, I recognize you." And of course he recognizes me because of these doggone freckles. Because how many black people do you know who has freckles, okay? I despised them for most of my life. And then one day I realized, hey, these freckles are making me a better person. I can't rob a bank although I'm broke, because I'll be too easily recognized. So I'm not talking about beauty when I'm talking about in your personal toolkit. And I do know that there are people in the world who will use their beauty. I ain't one of them. So, the obvious metaphor in the title relates to a worker's skills. Today, I am reminding us that each of us is endowed with talents that can be honed, multiplied, or disregarded. I'm including more of us than those with plumber or electrician skills or internet or painting skills, neither of which I have. However, one of my greatest strengths is culture building. And the skill my youngest son thinks is strongest, I have 4, is resilience. Spoiler alert, we will move out of the box and into the heart of matters. It seemed counterintuitive when I was in theology school and a professor told the class that the best way to teach Johnny, an older brother replaced as youngest by a newborn, that the proper way to be a sibling is not to begin with, "Love, Susie." It is to say, "Don't hit Susie." Together with foregoing violence, we are called to exclude willful ignorance of societal wrongs, greed, arrogance, and contempt of our neighbors. Returning to being a good brother, also don't steal Susie's bottle or ridicule Susie because she has yet to be able to clutch a rattle and she can't hit a baseball. I celebrate common unity rather than I divide-ism. Some people have such great community building skills that when they die or leave an organization, whole eras end. Both my mother's mom and mom herself were quiet women who, without fanfare, held families together. The same was true of my loud-talking aunts Pat and Vera. When each of them passed, that tribe, as my paternal grandmother would call it, found that there was life-changing divisions that seeped in. Major community building skills include loyalty and patience. Those with the ride or die skills never abandon even the most offensive. They teach by example, though some clown once said, "Those who can't do, teach." Name someone great who refused to teach. Jesus, Moses, Siddhartha, Muhammad, Mother Teresa. Each was a marvelous teacher. Even though neither Jesus nor Mother Teresa left a bloodline, all five that I named, I am a spiritual child of. I would be lost without Mother Teresa's spread love wherever you go. Jesus's, blessed are those who admit they need divine assistance, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Siddhartha's, train your mind to see something good in everything. Moses, you shall love the Holy One, your deity, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And Muhammad's, kindness is a mark of faith, and whoever is not kind has no faith. What are the spiritual talents that people among us possess? Some of us have the gift of easy relationship with the Holy One. We never feel alienated or alone. Much of this is because we know the Holy One has fact-checked before we even speak. We have no fear of being vulnerable, which includes being humble enough to hold ourselves accountable for mistakes. We forgive both others and ourselves, and we courageously face difficulties. The lucky few also have a well-developed sense of humor. The male who most influenced me was my mother's youngest brother. I'm going to share two little stories about him from the opposite ends of his life. When he was a teenager, he took me to watch him play basketball. He made a basket, ran past the scorer's table and said, no, don't count that one. And the scorekeeper was looking at him like, are you crazy? And he said, no, I touched a little bit of the rim, and I don't want nothing but nets. And so everybody in the auditorium cracked up laughing. And the second one was when we celebrated his 80th birthday. And by this time, diabetes had taken one of his legs. And he was at the speaker's table thanking people for all of the gifts and for showing up, driving hundreds of miles sometimes. And he said, if you see me wrestling with a bear, help the bear. And try to wrap your mind around a one-legged man and wrestling with a bear. And you got to help the bear defeat him. I mean, I couldn't get there. I'm going to give an example of a misuse of talents. It's a story I heard years ago about a male who dreamed of being a professional basketball player. Although he was a high school star, He did not enjoy equal success in college. A classmate who went on to become a National Basketball Association Hall of Famer came home and found the nearly 30-year-old dreamer at the neighborhood playground trying to perfect his shot. The professional recalled that the dreamer had been a brilliant student. Maybe he was even the valedictorian. Instead of following his academic skills, lusting for the athletic career that was beyond him, he had become bitter. In what should have been the prime of his life, he judged himself as a failure. There are other hidden skills that are easily disrespected. One of them is listening. So many Americans delight in hearing their own voice that we fail to concentrate on the wisdom that flows from ordinary people. Those of us who are not mystics also miss that there are nuggets in silence. Another disrespected skill is modeling gratitude. Most of us have been blessed beyond what is average for people around the world, to say nothing of those in Gaza, the Sudan, or the Ukraine. Open willingness to say thank you to a parent or a teacher or a sibling is one of the first lessons that many children are taught. As we deceive ourselves into thinking that we have matured, sadly, we often forget that loving people tried to teach us. Those who embrace gratitude are usually found among our most compassionate and loving pilgrims. I say pilgrims not because we're nearing Thanksgiving, but because none of us can remain forever in this dimension. One of the best gifts in our toolkits may be intuition, that which we feel but we cannot prove. Intuition can be easily set aside or disappear because data worshipers don't understand its power. Stories are not to be dismissed as anecdotes. They are unique, real-time makers. Even the one speaking silently to us alone. As I shared, I've been here several times before, and I often will talk about my volunteering in the pediatric ward on the cardiology floor in the hospital. I've been doing that since January 2011. I can assure you that babies know through intuition who is good and who is not. Now, you can fool a whole lot of adults. You ain't even fooling no baby. The baby is very aware of who you are because there's something coming out of your spirit that baby can sense. Don't let that frighten you, because if you go back into your original self, because all of us were created good, you can overcome that. And the baby can say, oh, yeah, this person is all right. Another great tool is positive energy. I do my best not to hang out with negative people, straight up. They who look at life's challenges and either give up or build their lives on complaints while never floating possible solutions. Embrace resilience and find opportunities. Here's a story for you. I joined the administration at Marshall University as Associate Dean of Students. There was a woman who was an assistant dean before me, and she was still on the staff. She brought a suit saying that it was discrimination because I was brought in above her. So the EEO comes in, and we're holding a session. I'm sitting here. On my left is the Vice President of Student Affairs. On the right is the President of the university. And across from me is the Dean. I'm asked, was she better qualified than you? I say, yeah. And you should have seen them all turn red. I said, but she didn't apply. And they dismissed the case. Don't set yourself up for failure by not knocking on the door. Some of us have gifts when we meet strangers. We smile at the never met and begin conversations with the unsuspecting. We ally with the oppressed even when there is no possibility of financial gain. We volunteer for nonprofits, from libraries to hospitals, homeless shelters to immigrant support. We give pieces of ourselves that will never make the newspapers, but little by little, we make a better world. Others analyze and strategically plan more than one way forward. They know how to come up with questions, though they may sometimes be short on answers. The best among them are skilled at truth-telling, even when neighbors would rather be deceived. In closing, an overlooked talent in our society is the ability to self-nurture. Knowing how to restore one's spirit with playing or listening to music, and you, my friend, are a master. I can listen good. I can't play nothing but a stereo. I'm good at that. Or work in the arts, from painting to writing, meditating to gardening, taking care of plants or pets, running or walking, cardiovascular exercising, or merely vegetating. A friend of mine is teaching me how to vegetate. She found out I was writing 3 books simultaneously. She said, how often do you vegetate? I said, I'm learning. All of these can sustain your life and your joy. Overworking puts both relationships and one's own health at risk. Another overlooked skill. I didn't think of this until it's not typed out, because I didn't think of it until I was on the way here. And it's so stupid. It's how much I love good cooks. What I would do for grandma's sweet potato cobbler, for my mother's beef roast with potatoes and carrots and celery, my Uncle Oscar's chicken pot pie, Aunt Doll's biscuits. She couldn't cook anything good except those biscuits. If you think you still have not identified anything that you do well, look again. We each was created as a whole person. What's in your toolkit is never empty. I hope I've helped you see that not only is each of us unique, but each of us is special. Thank you.